Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Arbitrary 20. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Rogue from the new Player's Handbook Playtest 6. Moving on to the Rogue. Sneak attack, they reverted it back, so you no longer need to be on your turn. Yes, good change. It never should have been changed in the first place. So now you're back to being able to sneak attack twice on your turn and then as a reaction as well. If you sort of build for that to get a lot of reaction attacks. And then rogues get weapon mastery as well, which is really big, honestly. I think it benefits rogues potentially even more because rogues are going to get an even bigger bonus with things like Vex, because there are more ways to get advantage, and then they don't get extra attacks, so something like Nick is going to help them a lot too. Yeah, so weapon mastery, pretty big buff. Rogue subclasses have returned to normal for backwards compatibility's sake. I think that's a good thing. And then steady aim, imported directly from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, requested by many playtesters. I think that's a good addition to the base rogue. Another way to just guarantee your sneak attack. Though with weapon mastery, I think steady aim might be a little less useful, but I think it's still good to have. And then the big change to Rogue, Cunning Strike, their new 5th level feature. You've developed cunning ways to use your sneak attack. Whenever you deal sneak attack damage, you can add one of the following Cunning Strike effects. Each effect has a die cost, which is the number of sneak attack damage dice you must forego to add the effect. You remove the die before rolling, and the effect occurs immediately after the attack's damage is dealt. For example, if you add the poison effect, you remove 1d6 from the sneak attack's damage before rolling. If the cunning strike effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your dexterity modifier, and then you have 4 different options, and some of the subclass options give you more options, and there's a feature later on you get that gives you more options as well. But the first option is disarm. The target must succeed a dexterity saving throw, or they drop one item of your choice that they're holding. There's the poison option, which is a con save, or they're poisoned for a minute, and they can repeat that save at the end of each of their turns. There's trip, they make a dex save, or they're prone. And then there's withdraw. Immediately after the attack, you move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. I think poison and trip are definitely the best ones there. Disarm is interesting though.
I think it's cool to see implementing conditions and different things like that. I think that the game is bigger than just dealing damage, and so I'm always a huge advocate for conditions. I really like those a lot. So something like this is super cool, and something that probably the rogue needed a lot, because in combat all they did was just do damage.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing I don't like about this is the cost, though for some of them it's worth it for sure. Like, the rogue can be built to do pretty good damage, but like your average just straight class rogue, I mean, weapon mastery probably will help that out quite a bit, but I feel like they maybe even could improve the sneak attack damage with this a little bit, especially with some of the cost of the higher ones. Like, all of these are just 1d6, but the costs from the subclasses and the higher level ones are significantly higher.
Is that second level? I believe it's what, 2d6?
It goes up every odd level.
Odd level. So yeah.
When you get this, you only have 3d6.
Yeah. So
you're sacrificing a third of the sneak attack damage to apply one of these effects, which poison and prone, probably worth it.
Yeah, depending on how you build.
Alright, so Cunning Strike, overall pretty cool. Definitely a really nice buff. Expertise and evasion have returned to 6th and 7th level. Reliable talent has moved from 11th to 7th level. That's a pretty big buff too for the skill monkey style characters.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. I mean, I love me some reliable talent. I use it a lot on one of my characters, and getting to do that earlier is muy bien.
And then it says Subtle Strikes, which was the previous feature the rogue got at 13th level in the last playtest. Got removed because of steady aim. They improved Cunning Strike at 11th and 14th level with improved Cunning Strike and Devious Strikes, so we can go over those really quick. Improved Cunning Strike, you can use 2 Cunning Strike effects when you deal sneak attack damage, paying the die cost for each. With some of the options, like subclass options and stuff, that could get kind of expensive, but it's definitely still pretty good, like potentially knocking someone prone and poisoning them for a removal of like 7 damage. Still pretty strong.
I like being able, I think in some cases not damaging and then just doing more conditions could be better. But yeah, I mean, I can already see that. Just looking ahead a little bit, you know, one of them is 6d6,
Yeah.
which I think that'd be what, like, I don't think you could,
76 if you do 2, which it would be every single die you have.
yeah, which would be
But
expensive,
at the same time,
but worth.
So it would be cool if Improved Cunning Strike or Devious Strikes gave some kind of discount potentially, but either way, we'll go on to Devious Strikes, and yeah, these are the interesting ones. So yeah, we have Daze, cost 2d6. They must succeed on a con save, or they have the Dazed condition until the end of their next turn, which means I believe it's still in this they get action, bonus action, or move, just one of the 3, which is really good. Just removing 2d6, you get rid of a lot of their turn. The next one's pretty crazy. Knockout, costs 66, so all but one of your dice at this level, they must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or they are unconscious for 1 minute, or until they take any damage. That does target the best saving throw that monsters usually have, but this is really good. I'm not gonna lie, they're just gone if you get this off.
I think it's worth it if you can time it right and you can set it up correctly. The con save is rough. It reminds me of like Stunning Strike for Monk, where it's just like.
But it has a lot more
50-50.
opportunity cost though. Like Stunning Strike, they're out for like a turn.
Mm-hmm.
This, they're out for a minute.
Yes.
Nothing.
At the small price of potentially not doing as much damage. Well, actually, not potentially, but for sure not doing as much damage.
You're doing way less damage, but this one's, I think, one of the most interesting ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obscure, for 3d6, you can make them do a dex save or they're blinded. I honestly think this could be down to 2d6, but it's not bad. And then Elusive has returned to 18th level, and then they have returned Stroke of Luck to 20th level, and it's pretty much the same as it was. You just get one nat 20 of your choice per short or long rest, which isn't bad. At 20th level, I almost feel like this could have multiple uses per rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess you are getting it back on a short rest, but. Yeah, it's 20th level. We've had this problem, and we've talked about this for, I guess, months now. The 20th level just has to be better.
Yeah, capstones aren't strong enough. I would say like 15 plus isn't strong enough right now.
For sure.
For the most part. I mean, there's the standouts like Arcane Apotheosis from the last playtest, which is ridiculous, but for the most part, yeah, 15 to 20 just needs to be stronger.
Making progress, but yeah, I mean, the Ranger one was freaking dog water.
In terms of like, yeah, oh my gosh, that was bad, yeah. But in terms of like class identity though, I do like that they're returning to unique 20th level features. Like, you should have something unique to your class and really strong if you invest 20 levels straight classed. Like, there should be something irreplaceable there. Yeah.
It should definitely be a reward for sticking out to the end, yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So we will move on to the rogue subclasses. First up, the Arcane Trickster. Their spellcasting now uses the Arcane list rather than the Wizard list, and there's no School of Magic restriction after 3rd level. Moreover, the rogue can now change one cantrip when gaining a level, and the rogue can use an Arcane focus. Oh, that's right, they used Thieves' Tools before. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. You're still just pulling something out to cast your spells. But, I mean, yeah, the lift on the restrictions is pretty big there. So now you can take more spells that you want to, instead of, because at, like, the mid-levels, like 8 to 12, I think, you were pretty much locked into some not great options. But now, you'll always have something you want to take.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I like that. Less restrictions is sometimes better.
And then the Versatile Trickster feature has changed to allow you to use options from your Cunning Strike with your Mage Hand, and the ability to give yourself advantage now resides in Steady Aim. So yeah, they removed your Mage Hand giving you advantage. They say that's pretty much what Steady Aim does, but now when you use Disarmor Trip with your Cunning Strike, your Mage Hand can also do it to a different target, which I would say that's overall a buff, just getting advantage before, which now there's plenty of ways to get advantage. You can potentially knock prone 2 targets is probably the stronger option there. disarm's not bad. And that's pretty much it for the Arcane Trickster. On to the Assassin. Assassinate now gives you advantage on initiative rolls, and the extra damage of the feature no longer requires the target to be surprised. So yeah, pretty much with the Assassin, they nerfed it, but it no longer requires surprise to be effective, essentially. Which I don't know how I feel about personally. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous before, but at the same time, surprise was like ran differently on table, depending on the table, and then if you're the only one who wants to do stealth in your party, then you never get any of your features, so I don't know. But anyway, Assassinate now gives you advantage on initiative, and during the first round of combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn. If your sneak attack hits any target during that round, the target takes extra damage of the weapon's type equal to your rogue level. Before, all this was any attack against a surprise target was a critical hit automatically, which is definitely significantly stronger, but this is probably going to apply more often. So, I don't know. Personally, I like the old version better, but this isn't bad.
Yeah, I think overall this is a net gain. Some interesting changes, but I think this is still good.
And then they also changed the 9th level one. They sort of combined two of the old features, I believe the 9th and the 13th. It's still pretty much just a roleplay thing with the disguise kit. You get advantage on deception checks while you're pretending to be someone else. It's alright. I'm glad that they at least combined two into one instead of wasting two features on this, but it's a buff, but a slight one. And then at 13th level, we get Envenom weapons. When you use the poison option of your Cunning strike, the target also takes 2d6 poison damage whenever it fails the saving throw. It also ignores resistance to poison damage. That's actually really big because poison damage is one of the most resisted damage types. But yeah, I really like this one. This is definitely a nice buff as opposed to just a roleplay option.
Yeah, I like I like some of these changes because it actually feels like you can care a little bit more about your rogue subclass. Because before, a lot of the features like past like 3rd level, it was just like, okay, who cares? I'm just here for the sneak attack damage.
Yeah.
So I think this is cool, you know, with the resisting to poison and dealing more poison damage and stuff. Makes it worth it to go the distance.
Yeah, and then Death Strike says no longer requires the target to be surprised, and instead relies on your sneak attack. So whenever you hit with your sneak attack on the first round of a combat, the target must succeed a con save, where the attack's damage is doubled against the target. So you're going to essentially just give yourself a crit if they fail a con save, which I guess there's no limited use here, so every first round of combat you have the potential to get this. It's not bad. Old Death Strike was you become a master of instant death when you attack and hit a creature that is surprised. It must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, double the damage of your attack against that creature. So now it just doubles sneak attack, right?
The attack's damage.
Is that not just better then? Oh wait, first round of combat.
What's the other one say?
Surprised. Oh, so yeah, Death Strike is just a complete buff. Yeah, it's just the first round of combat instead of being surprised. And you have to hit with your sneak attack, which, yeah, big deal. Yeah, Death Strike, that's actually a pretty big buff. Okay. Slight nerf to the 3rd level feature, but overall, I would say that Assassin is a better subclass than it was before.
Yeah, much improvement. Probably maybe has a little bit more to go, but overall, like, I'd be pretty happy playing this over the old one.
Yeah. And then on to Swashbuckler, got changed quite a bit because of the new Cunning strike. Panache and Dashing strikes both have to do with Cunning strike. And then Master Duelist has been redesigned to allow you to make an additional attack provided you meet the requirements. I think the first two features are pretty much the same. 9th level Panache, you get Goad and Awe. Goad costs 1d6. The target must succeed a Wisdom save, or they have Until the end of the next turn, they have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you and can't make opportunity attacks against targets other than you. The disadvantage on attack rolls other than you, I feel like, isn't really that crazy, but the opportunity attacks might be really strong, allowing your allies to disengage for free. I don't know. This one just seems alright, because you don't really want to be getting hit as the rogue anyway. You're not the tankiest character. I don't know. This has some use though. And then Awe. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you must succeed a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition until the end of your next turn.
I think the cost of Awe is a bit expensive, just to get the charm condition on you.
Yeah, it's pretty much just going to stop attacks against you, and that's about it.
I feel like that D6 count could go down just a little bit more and make it more worth it, but I think 3d6 is...
I think that could be 1, and it wouldn't be too crazy. But
I agree.
But the 13th level one, Dashing Strikes, does actually have some better options. You have Parrying Stance, which requires 2d6. You roll a d6. Until the start of your next turn, you gain a bonus to your AC equal to the number rolled. I also think that could cost 1 as a 13th level feature.
It's almost like they're trying to validate the stances being, or not the stance, but like these strikes to be better by making them more expensive. Like putting the price tag higher just to make it feel like it's more worth it.
Well, yeah,
I mean, AC is cool. AC is good. I mean, adding potentially +6 to your AC is really nice. Especially when you're basically
on average
shield
3 or
for
4,
free.
but yeah.
But
is that worth 2d6 damage every turn?
Maybe.
But the second one is Invigorate. Also costs 2d6. You choose a creature that you can see within 30 feet of yourself until the end of that creature's turn. Whenever it makes an attack roll or saving throw, it can roll a d6 and add the number rolled to the attack roll or saving throw. So it's basically like a single turn bless. This one's actually really nice, I think. Because depending on how many attacks or saves that creature has to make, this is going to do more damage than your 2d6.
Say it's a little more situational.
Like at 13th level, your fighter could be making 3 or 4 attacks. If you give them a d6 to all of those, it's going to increase their hit chance quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Like the rogue has almost no support options as of right now, which it's cool that they get one.
Yeah. Definitely gives them more utility in combat, whereas they were more out of combat utility guys.
And then lastly we have Master Duelist. Immediately after you use your sneak attack, you can make another attack against the same target provided you are within 5 feet of it and no other creatures are within 5 feet of you. Which, this just seems okay. I don't know if this is really a 17th level tier feature, but like most subclass capstones, just not good enough.
It's interesting. Just seems way too expensive.
Yeah. I almost wonder, and that's kind of the thing, is like, if they come up with a cost other than sneak attack for these, then it's probably going to have to be limited use. That's kind of the cool thing with these. You can use these an infinite amount of times. You just have to lower your sneak attack damage. Which is something to consider. Like, there's no uses here. It's just, you do less damage.
I think it's a good thing though, because in my mind at least, like rogue is the class you play if you just want to reliably somewhat deal a lot of damage.
In one hit, yeah.
In one hit, yeah. You just take sneak attack, take as many levels as you feel like you can in rogue, and then that's that. But like with this, it actually, it gives you more choices and
rather than just doing damage.
Yeah, it makes you a little more have some better flavor.
On to Thief. Fast Hands now lets you use an object instead of taking the search action, and it also lets you use the magic action to activate a magic item, so this is pretty much back to how they were before, which is really nice. That was kind of the reason you wanted to take Thief, is to get this feature and be able to use magic items as bonus actions. Standout features back, I would say that's pretty good overall. And then second story work now lets you move along ceilings without an ability check, and it causes you to use your dexterity, not strength, for jumping. Don't know how much the jumper one is going to come up, but gaining a climb speed is not bad. Second story work is definitely a ribbon feature though, but I think just for fast hands the subclass is still worth it at third.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, you could definitely build for that ribbon feature to work more and make it being more less situational.
Yeah.
I think Fast Hands going back to the way it was is a lot better.
And then Supreme Sneak has new functionality. You can sacrifice a sneak attack die to remain hidden when you attack. So yeah, it's another Cunning strike option. It costs a d6. If you have the hide actions invisible condition, I think that was something that changed in the last UA. If you're hidden, you just count as invisible. This attack doesn't end that condition on you if you end the turn behind 3/4 or total cover, which is pretty nice. So you get to keep your, as long as you remain hidden, you get to keep your bonus action for 1d6. And you don't have to use your bonus action to hide every turn. I don't know how much that's going to come up, but it's definitely not a bad feature. And then Thief's Reflexes is back to its 2014 version, where you get 2 turns on the first round of combat, which is way better. Like the thing where you got 2 bonus actions was honestly terrible in my opinion. Looks like that's all there is for the Rogue. If you'd like to watch our last video where we covered the new Ranger from Playtest 6, you can check that out right here. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.